Okay, so we're trying a evening scene, beach scene now. So I've done the horizon line. It's just a small piece of A5. We've done a daytime version. Brighter colours, bright shadows, and some seabirds and a couple of people. So let's see what happens for this one. So for this one we're going to start off with a little bit of yellow ochre, because it needs that sort of eveningy glow, and in it we're going to add a little bit of alizarin crimson, just a little bit, and it makes like a orangey reddy yellow. And we're just going to nicely paint across the sky. Bit of water. We're just wanting that sort of first wash. Just going to put some more pure yellow ochre into it. There's that nice soft feel, weaving down to the horizon line, and the sky's got sort of an evening glow. Remember at the top, because I'm on a bit of a slope, we'll let the pigment run down. Okay, so we're wanting to put some clouds in, so into that sky I'm going to drop a little bit of alizarin crimson into the yellow ochre again, and a tiny hint of ultramarine blue, just to take it into a more purpley tone. And I'm just going to drop in that sort of evening cloud formation. So it's that sort of already purpley look. So it's all wet in wet, just getting that. So nearer the horizon line you've got smaller, thinner clouds and bigger clouds. So then I'm going to drop a little bit more ultramarine blue and a little bit of raw sienna into that, just to put like a darker undertone in. So it's still quite light, we're just building the clouds up a little bit. Before they dry. Just darken that off. If it's drying a little bit too much, a little spritz with your little spritzer bottle keeps it going for a little while. So I'm now going to add a little bit of burnt sienna into the wash, which is a warmer tone, with a little bit of ultramarine, and it makes a little bit of a darker colour. Again, we're just dropping it in. Pardon me, not overthinking things too much. I'm just going to get some more ultramarine onto that. And knock it back with a bit of burnt sienna. So it makes like a warm grey colour. Touch of alizarin crimson in there, just to warm it up a little bit, add a bit more dimension. Okay, so I'm going to mop that up and see what's going to happen. Okay, so I've just dried that a little bit with the hairdryer, and as you can see, it's sort of melted into the background really nicely. A nice muted tone. Quite like that. I quite like the softness of that. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so we're going to move on to the sea. So the sea will be a bit darker. So I'm choosing ultramarine because that's the base blue in there. And I'm just going to take a little bit of the paint off my brush because I want it to be dry. And I'm just going to run a little bit more paint into there, kind of purpley it down a bit. So I'm adding some alizarin crimson just to purple it down a bit, and then I'm just going to drop in a tiny bit of yellow or orange, maybe orange, because that will just take the brightness off. So I'm going to just run that across here again, so I want a bit darker. Across there. Looks a bit like there's a headland. I might make that the headland. That's just the same colour as I've just dropped into the sea. I'll do the same on this side. Just because I've got a watermark and quite nice. So I'm now going to make quite a dark purple. Dulling it off with some orange. Some caviar red. Oh gosh, that's a lot. That's too much. Okay, so I've done a darker blue, so I'm just going to run that through. Just to build that idea of some depth. I'm just letting it run into those land masses a little bit to So now I'm going to add quite a lot of alizarin crimson into that mix. Make it quite purpley. So I want the purpleness of the sea to come through. Okay. I like this, I quite like that light. Okay, so just let that dry a little bit. So I'm going to come back in just to put a little bit of wave movement onto that. So I've just got my trusty little titanium white gouache tube. A little brush that's got a reasonable point on it. Straight into the tube. And I'm just going to enhance this lovely little bit here. And I'm just going to enhance that little bit there. Now I like this bloom that comes when you just put it on when it's slightly damp. If you don't, just wait for it to dry and you can add it on later. But you want the brighter colours near the foreground, more white. Just take your time. It's not a rush. Let's find the grouse shooting. The bird scarers. Okay, so I might just come in with a little bit more there. It's worth just playing around with it. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm back to my big brush, and I'm going to just pick up a little bit of raw sienna or yellow ochre. I'm just going to drop a bit of a beach colour in here. It doesn't matter if you a little bit of heavier raw sienna tones, just to add a bit of interest, particularly in this middle ground. A little bit of burnt sienna as well. Warms up that foreground a little bit. And if you just think that's okay, take a little bit off. But remember, it dries 30% lighter. Okay, I've dried this off. I'm just going to add a little bit more gouache to those waves just to make them a little bit more defined, particularly these front ones. Quite like the effect that you can get. Dry brush straight into the gouache. The back ones need leaving a little bit less defined because things that are further away are softer, cooler. Just a nice way of adding a bit of tone and texture. I'll carry on. Okay, so I'm going to start putting the sort of grasses on the foreground. And I think for this one I'm going to start over here. I'm just going to build quite a big bank of grass, lots of different stroke directions. Don't get caught up too much in the movement of it. Just put the grass on, or grass, that's where you come from. It sort of grows in clumps anyway. So I'm just using a little rigger brush here, and I'm just putting the first lot of grasses on. So into that first lot of green that I'd made, just added a little bit of raw sienna to get that sort of orangey green colour coming through. I also try and put some grasses that are down by themselves. That sort of draws the eye a little bit. And just carry on building up the shape, the texture. You can see the nice different colours in the greens. Now you could put some on this side. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. For this one, I think I'm going to just leave one side painted and one side not. I like how you can see through the grass, sort of almost over the top of this sort of sandy bank. Right, so I've now mixed up a purpley colour, but it's more pinky than blue, because I want it to sit in contrast against this. And then I'm just going to go in and put that in the grasses. That's that wall. A little bit down here. And I'm just going to roll my brush through. Give the idea of a bit of movement. I'll just damp that off. I don't want it to be as dark as this one, but it just adds a little sense of texture along there. So I'm going to try and now mix a really, really dark green. So I've gone to my phthalo blue. And then a bit of alizarin crimson in there to get a really sort of dark greeny purpley colour. Because I want to put some darks into these grasses. Not all over, just some places. Yeah, and that just adds a bit of depth within there, so that's like a dark purpley green colour. And then I think down this side I might just do a fence post or two. So I'm going to add a little bit of brown into that, a bit of neutral tint, a brown into that. And I'm just going to, so fence posts. Same colour. I'm just going to connect them but not connect them. So the shadows are going this way. So we're going to put some shadows on going this way too. Connect to the bottom. And then I'm going to just go in and put a little bit of green grass work around here, around the bases of some of those. There we go. This one. Okay, so a little bit of dark under these, some of these waves. I'll just enhance the pop. So this is the same shadow colour. Dump off the brush and soften it away. Dump off the brush, soften it away. Dump off the brush, soften it away, but it's there. I'll just add a bit of depth onto the waves. So all we're left for now is that little birdies. That's that any sort of dark mixture. And alternate. Remember, more water, less pigment if you're going further away, less detail. And we're wanting to keep the eye around here. So I'm going to do a really big, bold bird. So on this one I'm just going to get a little gouache, trusty gouache out again. I often just take it out the lid a little bit. Oh, it's got a bit too much of a blob.